Radiant Tactics is a new type of RPG system. It's different than other systems available out there in that it lets you cross-play a bunch of the tactics genre. So from games that play like co-op Magic the Gathering to games that play like Shining Force with a single squad to games that play more like Warhammer or Infinity with a large number of squads on big maps. And cross-playing means that you're able to create characters and progress and continue to author them and make choices and decisions in any game style that you play. So you could bring your character to a Magic the Gathering adventure, to a large-scale battle, and they are going to be able to progress, gain equipment, and continue to invent new characters that way. I'm Michael Vossen. I'm the creator of Radiant Tactics, and are releasing a set of demos to let you actually try crossplay for the first time. In this set of demos, you'll be able to play what we call micro scale tactics battle, something that is akin to a co-op Magic the Gathering session. We have something that is a little bit more akin to the more traditional kind of tactics experience where you might see in a Fire Emblem, a Shining Force, Final Fantasy Tactics, where a squad-on-squad battle. And then we have kind of, in this first set of demos, a larger scale experience, one that's a little bit more akin to a Warhammer 40K, Warhammer Fantasy, kind of large-scale wargame style. And so this first set of demos will let you play the system, create characters, and play them in all the games, and see how it works. We're really excited to open up to public playtesting. We don't know how close we are to these targets. We have our own sense, but we would really value the input of folks that we're making this system for how close we are to our target experiences. And this is the start of a crossplay series. I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to start off by making a character in this video, and then I'm going to play it across each of the demos. All right, stick with me, and we'll see how it goes. Saw our video on crossplay campaigns and how Radiant Tactic campaigns differ than traditional RPGs, you'll know that we like to start with a roster. That's our main focal point question. A lot of the questions when we're creating a character, a lot of the campaigns revolve around the progression of your roster, your team, adding new units, and you're kind of asking yourself for the roster, what keeps this group together? What are they trusted for? Why are they out adventuring? And so we're going to imagine this character that we're creating as part of one of these initial rosters. There's all sorts of themes, more than we're kind of really going to more out there than we're going to reveal in this alpha. There, out in our world, there are organizations like the Zishi Eshi, who are kind of cannibalistic scholars, so have their own kind of distinct play style that's very different than, say, the North Fleet Norn, who are kind of scry the fates using kind of rune stones and kind of our task force out to prevent weird disasters to their fleets. In the demos and kind of our unfolding alpha content, we're kind of playing in a little bit more isolated region, the region of Alder. That's kind of a smaller part of the bigger world of Phobos. And so some of the roster palettes that we're unrolling out right now are more kind of set there. So in Alder, we have our 5 major factions. These kind of break up into other ones. So the fleet contains North Fleet, X-West, Fae have the Aos and Necrotic, so there's a lot more out in the world, but just kind of focusing on Alder here, we kind of look at, if we're looking at the Underdeep, we're kind of thinking about them in Alder. The collection here is a little bit more of kind of refugees from Rex Sanguinis to the north, kind of a xenophobic, very kind of caste system where each of the Dever, Gbold, and Trollgers all have kind of their place in that society. And so a lot of the Underdeep in Alder are kind of represent people kind of leaving societies with that sort of history there. Same for the other kind of major out here. In Alder, we've got this theme faction, kind of like they have the same shared background, kind of refugees kind of going into this area, trying to make it out there. And what a roster palette gives you, it kind of gives you a more limited selection from everything of units that you could use to make your main heroic characters. You could add squads or other heroes to them as you progress. And this kind of gives you your options for making both those heroes and squads that are kind of fit your roster's theme. I'm going to make a cross-playable character here. It's going to play in all three of the demos here. And so of our Underdeep species, I'm just going to kind of go with this one for now. Trollgurs are big and strong, but very slow. The Dverg are pretty tough and defensive orientated. Again, kind of on the slow side, but also kind of like not magically inclined. And Gabolds are speedy and quick, but there's lots of them. They're kind of a little bit more expendable, and they tend to not have as high of potential as the other, which kind of makes them a little bit of the underdog. Kind of like that, so I'm going to go with one of our Gabold here for my character here. So once I have my the species, I kind of pick the classes here. So exclusively to the Underdeep, we've got this Blaster class. It kind of uses uses the Lost Tech Mastery. Has access to some exotic weapons there. In terms of general classes that I can use, we've got what we call the Merc, who's a weapon mastery, who picks a focus weapon and really excels at that. We have Smiths, who are able to craft things and use the equipment that they've crafted. Medics, who are useful for keeping your squad alive, always there. Defenders, really able to use all sorts of heavy armor and shields, be able to push things around and take blows. Not as strong on the offensive, but really good at holding objectives. And finally, we have the Alchemist, who's kind of where the Underdeep aren't. You don't have a lot of your sorcerers or geomancers, not a lot of magic inclined. What the Underdeep really faction really tends to do is to see mana as a part of mana like chemistry. Mana is part of rocks. Mana is a part of wood. And kind of they see magic as kind of a magic. Their use of magic is a little bit more like using kind of the bound up mana in things to create magical phenomena. So I'm going to go with the Alchemist. It's kind of a more of a support play style there. I do get to pick a weapon, so my character won't be particularly good at it because I don't really have a weapon mastery class like the Merc. But and for that reason, I can either go with something range. Rifle could be good. Would give me let me stay away from combat. Axe is pretty good for a character without any mastery. It has a lot of kind of damage values there. But I think I'm going, because I have access to the rifle, I'll go ahead and go with that. So mine's going to be a Gabold Alchemist with a rifle. So far, we've been thinking about character creation functionally in terms of gameplay, how the unit, what's the unit's role in the squad, what are they strong at, and so on. But for Radiant Tactics, that's part of. There's lots of funds that character creation can support. So one is kind of customization and kind of coming up with cool builds, but another is role playing, and role playing is more about occupying the perspective of your character and thinking about what do they have reason to do and believe, and kind of making choices from their point of view. And so we'll get a name for. I like to name my characters after I have an idea of like, what do they believe? What are their values? Kind of what's their background there? That I think it's a little easier for me to get inspiration there. So I'll kind of go through. This is a bit more of an optional part in character creation, depending on how much you want it to be a role playing experience versus more of a focus on kind of the gameplay and kind of that customization aspect of character creation. But so for our Gabold here, so we've got three things that kind of really help, I think, kind of flesh out characters for the role-playing game. So we've got their kind of beliefs, main ideology. One part of the background of Radiant Tactics is that there was a kind of ancient, a lot of what we're seeing now is kind of the civilizations reemerging, the societies and peoples reemerging after a larger ancient conflict between galactic civilizations that had, in the world of Phoebos, magic and technology developed in parallel. It's not kind of like one is superior to the other, but more that a lot of the developmental history would see advancements in technology overcoming magical defenses, and then new magical techniques overcoming offensive power there, and so kind of like tandem development of magic and technologies there. And so that a lot of that came to a head in a big conflict between the kind of the ancient civilizations, where they essentially destroyed the gods, blew up space, lots of kind of apocalyptic, seemingly apocalyptic events happen, but on the world of Phoebus, life has gone on. So one of the reasons for that conflict was a big difference in these main ideologies about magic and technology there. And so one of the major choices you can make about your character is kind of which of these worldviews about magic do they adhere to, or are they kind of agnostic to it? Sometimes character you can imagine your character being more wholehearted or not. Some of them might kind of inherit these views from their society. Some of them might be bigger advocates of them. That's kind of up the character. That's part of the character authoring that you get to go with. So for our Go Bold, however, though, let's go with one that would probably be from a, if we think of Argobold as a refugee from Rex Sanguinis, this kind of cast bunker system of Dverg and Trollger and Gold, they are very suspicious of magic. Usually Gabolds are kind of in that society would be the ones who would manifest sorcery or kind of magical talents there, and so that's kind of viewed as something that needs to be controlled. So bottled chaos is pretty fitting here. We'll say he kind of believes that magic is inherently chaotic, unpredictable, with consequences that can be far-reaching and defy the natural laws. So you can imagine this faction really kind of blaming magic for that catastrophe that occurred long in the past. So this society, is suspicious of magic, thinks that it needs to be controlled and constrained, especially via technology. And so we'll take Argobold to be inheriting this sort of belief about magic. Next up in character creation, we have values. And values are, you can think of values as like aspects of the situation that your character is really in tune with. So if my character really cared about security, it would probably be perspective of threats, of dangers, things that represent security risks. Whereas if, say, my character was very interested in health, it might kind of like notice things about sanitation or effects of illnesses and kind of those sorts of things. Values kind of come on the character level and also our roster. So we can imagine our roster as being trusted for some of these values. So if we're if we're imagining our Underdeep as kind of making its own little merc org, we might kind of ask, hey, what do other people kind of value in their services? So if your org has kind of a focus, you have a bunch of people interested in security, or kind of we can think of the org as interested in security there. You're probably going to be trusted for a certain set of jobs than if you were, say, the org was really fixated on justice. So values help see kind of what's at stake with your characters. Like, hey, what do people trust you for? What are they going to be? What are they going to feel let down with if you kind of fail to uphold in kind of your missions? Values help in role playing your character, thinking in the kind of situation, thinking about, hey, what do they really care about? And, in a lot of these kind of cases and different adventure contexts, these values can be kind of like things that they prioritize. So you could pick your values. It's up to you, kind of like how you like to compose your characters. Picking them, kind of sometimes people start from a vision of a character, and so they're like, my character is interested in knowledge and personal freedom. It's going to do whatever it can to get more knowledge. Other times, though, sometimes it can be fun, and I've been enjoying lately just kind of randomizing it there. So kind of rolling a couple of dice and kind of getting a, what is your highest value and what is your secondary value. And people usually care about more than one thing. Sometimes if I get doubles, it just means that they're fixated on one, and it kind of suggests a different character than if another person who's trying to balance a couple. So for our character, they're an alchemist there. So we'll give them knowledge a little bit because they're kind of at least interested in kind of that craft. And we'll say that this one is an interest in prosperity too. So we'll say, hey, well, why are they leaving? Here's another way you could kind of pick them is kind of think about their background. I said that, okay, look, these are refugees from Sanguinis. Why are they leaving? Well, we'll say that this Gabold is kind of interested in kind of a better future. There's not a lot of prospects. The city, it's the bunker city. It's very crowded, so they're coming to Alder because they care about prosperity. It could be for yourself, could be your family, for others. Some of these are they're definitely open to interpretation with their characters. They're not so rigid as to be fixed in like, oh yeah, this is exactly how you have to understand a character who values prosperity. But so our Gabold Alchemist will value knowledge and prosperity. So the final element we'll add to our character to help with role-playing is what we might call temperament. So you can think of temperament as the kind of mood your character might get in. Is your person sad and down? Are they quick to anger? Are they very serene in the moment? Are they off in their head and such? What sort of emotions do they tend to feel? And in Phoebos, we're kind of imagining temperament as kind of having certain temperaments and moods because they know just certain features of their situation. They have kind of like a certain awareness that kind of gives them the temperament they have. They're all themed. This kind of like in the world, it follows a seasonal chart here, so you can in Phoebos, kind of the theory of temperaments has them going through seasons. So you can imagine winter being the name for winter here being Geol, and it's also the name for a temperament that is really focused on a person who's thinking about all possibilities, not really in the here and now, but they're really prone to awe and wonder, sometimes boredom and kind of different bits. But kind of often they're very much an off in their heads versus kind of in the situation sort of character. Now there are a number of these, and again, you kind of pick them based on you either pick them based on kind of what you want your character to be, or just kind of roll them here. I'm going to pick a couple. I'm going to pick Maven. Maven is kind of a sense of belonging. This person really cares about what others in their other family community, about others kind of need and kind of immediately or their immediate interest there, and are kind of focused on kind of more fitting in or kind of making sure that they're a part of a community whose needs are met. So that'll be kind of one. And this and like most moods, you're not always, you can have some characters who are always in that sort of mood, but I like to kind of make two for a character that they might drift between. So if we rolled, let's say we got a Lunasa here. So they kind of, sometimes they're very focused on what their community needs and kind of, and are prone to things like fear over that or accomplishment for kind of satisfying that. And then they switch to this kind of Lunasa mood. Lunasa mood being more of like attuned to kind of like, hey, what in their ideals needs to be accomplished now. It's about kind of like they're present in the situation, but they kind of notice, they're the sort of person who would notice injustice and if they cared about it. Putting everything together now and review the character we've made. I really like how the Radiant Tactics system lets you kind of create stories. Like I started without idea of who this character was with their background, but the pieces kind of come together to tell, to suggest a story. So our Gabold left the crowded Sanguinis for better prospects. She's skilled at brewing potions and principles alchemy. We picked a rifle, and even though she's not can't use the ammo part of that there, we can imagine her as dabbling in it there, and that the kind of unlock of that perhaps being like her success at creating Magitech ammo. We saw her highest value was knowledge, then prosperity, and we saw with her temperament, she's kind of drawn to, she cares a lot about belonging and her people's immediate needs. So we could kind of imagine her as kind of like reluctantly leaving Rex Sanguinis. Maybe she was apprentice as a kind of alchemist, or was kind of like in a position to be kind of learning there, but maybe she went because it wasn't working out for the rest of her family or her people. So that kind of suggests a name like a pragmatic or sensible there. Names are hard, so a couple ways you can, I like to do them are look up baby names. Baby names kind of meaning practical or sensible. That's how we found one for Sophrona, kind of from a Greek term. Other times you can, Google has a great English to other language translator there, so you could kind of like if you have a term that kind of fits your character. Excellent, brave, whatnot. You can kind of look that up in other languages, and sometimes you can get a word for it in another language that perfectly fits what you're going for. So that's kind of our role-playing side of the character there. In terms of gameplay, kind of what do we get? As a Gabold, we've got they're more again one of the challenging characters, not quite as kind of naturally defensive as other units can be, but we've got a pretty high dodge, low toughness. We've got low strength. We're probably going to be starting with an armor of 1 because of just kind of equipping the basic cloth armor and not wanting to get too heavy with this character. We've got a rifle that we can use from distance. We're more of a support character. Our best abilities are going to be, since we're a alchemist, we can use potions on ourselves and allies who are adjacent. So we got focus potions and inferior potions. So I'll be using Safrana to buff allies, and then the rifle's a little bit more kind of a supporting attack. We're really hoping to get some of that leg loss or arm loss. I think is going to be our best use of the shot, but we're not really going to be counting on her to be kind of doing the heavy damage of the party. Her role is more in kind of getting other people to be more accurate or make more attacks. All right. I hope you liked our video. The demos are up on our site now. You can come check them out. We've got a lot of pre-made characters that you can get, and we'll be rolling out a kind of a character creation process for custom ones. Please like or share the video if you enjoyed it, and support us on Patreon if you really want to support us big time materially. Other ways of supporting include doing these play tests. Like I said, it's a cross-play system. The demos are targeting things like a co-op Magic the Gathering experience, something a little bit more like a Fire Emblem or Shining Force, and then also kind of a larger scale of a kind of 40K battles, but we need to fine-tune and get that in, and your feedback helps immensely with that.